Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the financial system and basically what we are doing, we are covering the payment and settlement system, right? This is the topic we are talking upon, okay? And you can say that these are the topics we have scheduled for discussion under this series, okay? Like we are going to start with an introduction, okay? Thereafter the National Electronic Fund Transfer, immediate payment service, then real-time gross settlement, unified payment interface, and the conclusion part. Okay, so these are the topics we have scheduled for discussion. Out of them, how many topics we have completed? We have completed the introduction, NEFT, immediate payment service. Okay, these three topics we have completed. Now, what we are left with? So we are left with the RTGS, unified payment interface, and the conclusion. Okay, so totally you could say that there are 6 topics. Out of 6, 3 we have completed, 3 we are left with. Okay, so I hope that you have revised the previous one in the well enough manner before you have come for this lecture, as so many times I have recalled you that it is for your own benefit. So if you are doing this on the regular basis, so basically you are reducing the burden which you might have in the, or not might, which you must have in the ending when you have to face the examination, and then you will start revising, because the things will be compiled up and the burden will be there on your head, on your mental peace. Okay, so to avoid this kind of situation, it is advisable, or you can say much recommended, that you must revise the topics on the regular basis. Okay, so basically after finishing the 2 payment systems, now we have to learn about the another one, which is known as the real-time gross settlement, and in short it is also known as the RTGS. Okay, so what do you mean by this? Let's understand. RTGS, which stands for the real-time gross settlement payment system, that allows for instantaneous transfer of funds between 2 bank accounts on the gross basis. This means that the transactions are settled individually and not bundled with each other transactions. Okay, so here I'm not going to tell you about much more about this. What I'm just trying to say, I'm just you can say trying to make you comfortable to identify certain areas. Like first is the gross basis. It means every transaction which occurs in the RTGS system is basically on the gross basis. Okay, thereafter if we talk about another term, which means transactions are settled individually and not bundled. Okay, so here we are required to identify the 2 areas, gross basis, and by virtue of gross basis we have to see this situation, that the transactions are settled individually and not bundled with each other transactions. Got it? RTGS is typically used for the high value transaction where both the sender and receiver require immediate clearing and settlement of funds. Okay, second thing we have seen here is the high value transactions. Okay, which means in National Electronic Fund Transfer, okay, thereafter in immediate payment service. Okay, in both of them, one thing was very much common. What was that? That no official minimum limit, right? There was no official minimum limit on these transactions. Okay, however, the individual banks have the right to decide the minimum limit through which they could proceed with the NEFT or the IMPS respectively. Okay, but when we talk about the RTGS, then the first thing we have seen here is that it requires the high value transaction. It means that the transactions must have certain value, or you could call it as a minimum limit. Okay, then only you are allowed to use this transactions. Okay, and if we talk about the limit, then how much the limit is? The limit is rupees 2 lakhs. Rupees 2 lakhs is the limit. Got it? That's what we have seen. Alright. Thereafter, if we talk about the gross basis, and you can say as a second one was gross basis and the individual transactions. Okay. So if we go by these areas, all right. So what is the meaning of them? Okay. So first, let's understand the batch process, which we had already discussed in which type of transaction? Come on, it's a question for you. Batch process is involved in which type of transaction? You having 10 seconds to answer this, then I will give you the answer. Your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The time's up. The correct answer is National Electronic Fund Transfer, also known as NEFT. Okay, so basically batch process was involved in it. Okay, and what we have seen in the batch process, that whatever transactions have been assigned in during a specific time or batch is, or you can say are, basically are processed together. Okay, or after compiling up. Okay, so that's what we have seen. Whatever transaction have been assigned in during a specific time or the batch are processed together or after compiling up. Okay, so this is the batch process. Got it? All right. Now, if we talk about it, then suppose there are total 5 transactions. Rupees 50,000, rupees 1 lakh, rupees 10,000, rupees 25,000, rupees 50,000. Okay, if we go by this, then it is basically how much amount? 2 lakh 35,000. Okay, this is the total amount which is to be processed. So if this amount have been submitted between 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., then what it signifies? It signifies that the entire amount, instead of being transferred individually, will be compiled up and then processed quickly. Okay, this is the thing. But when we talk about the RTGS, then RTGS will not go with the batch processing. Okay, like instead of compiling up, all the transactions will be processed separately. Okay, so that's how the system works. Okay, And if we talk about the minimum limit, we have seen that must be 2 lakhs. Okay, 2 lakhs and no upper limit officially. Okay, minimum is 2 lakhs, no upper limit officially. So this is the introduction of RTGS. We have seen that in this particular method, what happened, that the prices, or you can say transactions, are happen on the individual basis, not on the batch processing and the gross basis. Got it? So that's what we have seen. Now, thereafter, what we have the essentials of the RTGS. Like, what things are essential for making the RTGS transaction? Number one is the bank account. Okay. You must have an active bank account with the bank from which you want to initiate the RTGS transaction. The account should be eligible for online banking services. Okay. So remember, the RTGS is also available for both online and offline. Okay. So if you are going with the offline procedure, then we know that you are required to visit the offline branch, or you can say physical branch, right? This is the first scenario. But when we talk about the online, it means that no need of visiting physical branch, only using digital method, right? So basically, when we're talking about the bank account, and now we have the condition of online banking account, so it is required to ensure that the bank account must be active, okay, and must be eligible for online banking services. Any of the case in which the bank account is inactive or not eligible in online banking services. Okay, so the transaction will be not proceed or decline. Got it? Next is the internet banking. Access to the internet banking is essential for initiating an RTGS transaction. You should be registered for internet banking with your bank and have a valid username and the password to log in. Okay. IFSC code. IFSC code is a unique code assigned to each bank branch by the Reserve Bank of India, necessary to identify the recipient's branch in the RTGS system. You can find the IFSC code of a bank branch on the bank's website, on your checkbook, or by contacting the bank itself. Okay, like as we have discussed, suppose if we're talking about the bank called XYZ. Okay, we are talking about this bank. So it's having one branch in Karol Bagh. Okay, one branch in Jamnagar. Okay, one branch in you can say Rajiv Chowk. One branch in Moti Nagar. Okay, one branch in Jamia Islamia. Okay, so if you are making, or you can say your bank ABC is making the transaction to the XYZ. So how does the XYZ will be able to identify in one of the, or you can say in which of these branches the transactions to be made? Is it to be made in the Karol Bagh, Jamnagar, Rajiv Chowk, Moti Nagar, Jamia Islamia? Where? Okay, but if you use the IFSC code which signifies the branch, then you will be able that's the branch in which you are required to make the payment. Okay, so basically if we're talking about the IFSC code, then you are required to tell me how many digits are there in the IFSC code. Come on, tell me. I have told you so many times. How many digits are there in the IFSC code? Again, I am providing you, you can say 20 seconds to think and answer. You are required to give me the breakage also. Then I will give you the answer. So your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. The time's up. So basically IFSC stands for the Indian Financial System Code. First thing, total numbers are 11 characters. Okay. Out of them, first to fourths are bank code. Fifth is always 0. And 6th to 11th basically signifies the branch name or code. Okay, so that's about the IFSC. Okay, all right, here is one thing also which I will ask you, that in the recent lecture, in the previous lecture, when we were talking about the IMPS, okay, in that we had come to know about that IFSC not required. So now the question is, if the IFSC is not required in the IMPS, so on replacement of it, what we require? Okay, let me give you the hint that MMID number is required. Now you are required to give me the, you can say, the full form of it, the total number of characters, and 3 ways through which you could get the MMID. Okay, you have again 20 seconds to think and answer. Then I will give you the answer. Your time starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. The time's up. So basically, if we talk about the full form first, full form is Mobile Money Identifier. Mobile Money Identifier first. Second, total having 7 characters. Third, three ways of obtaining the first is net banking. Second is mobile banking, and what is the third? Phone or call banking. Okay, so these are the three ways through which the MMID number is obtained. Got it? So that's what we had seen in the previous lecture. Now the transaction amount. RTGS is typically used for the high value transaction, and there is usually a minimum transaction amount set by your bank. There is no upper limit on the amount that can be transferred through RTGS. Okay, so basically that's what we have already discussed. Okay, that this is only used for the high value transaction, and there is a minimum limit transaction which is set by the banks generally. So if we talk about the starting limit, so the starting limit is rupees 2 lakhs, or you could call it as this one. All right, so this is the transaction amount. Okay, thereafter we talk about the transaction charges. Banks may charge a fee for the RTGS transaction. The charges vary depending upon the amount transferred and the bank's policies. You should check with your bank for details on the transaction charges. So now here is a one thing which we should understand, that always remember there is there is no charges on transactions for online mode. No charges on transaction for online mode. Okay, but there is charges applicable on transactions for offline mode, or you could also say or bank branch visit. Okay, so remember, whenever you are making the payment online, you are not supposed to give any charges, but whenever it is offline, then you are required to make the charges, which include nominal fees as per the entering amount. Okay, plus GST. Okay, so if you visit the branch physically and then you are making the transaction, you are supposed to give the nominal fees as per the entering amount, the amount which you have entered, plus GST. Okay, so keep this thing in mind. No charges online, offline there are charges. Transaction limit. While there is no upper limit on the amount that can be transferred through the RTGS, individual banks may set limits based on their internal policies and the customer relationship with the bank. Okay, so usually for one time amount transfer, there is limit of rupees 5 lakhs. Okay, so remember, however, there is no official, you can say no official amount limit, but for, you can say, for the banks to banks. For one-time transaction, maximum limit is rupees 5 lakhs and the minimum limit is 2 lakhs. Right? So keep this thing in your mind. So students, basically in this lecture, we have finished the transaction limit. In the next lecture, we will continue from here. Till then, just revise all the facts and figures we have discussed in this lecture. Be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture, and what we say, thank you.